My name is Thelma. I came from Zimbabwe. I come from a big family. I do speak with them on the phone if I get money, but it's quite expensive, so it's not really easy. My daughter is still there. She's 19 now. She was 8 when I left. I was 25 when I left Zimbabwe for political reasons. Everybody was fed up with the ZANU-PF. Things were getting worse. You know, people were starving. There was no food, there was nothing. So when the MDC party came, everybody was excited. We were expecting something that would change immediately. We started to attend the MDC rallies. We all had hope. We were expecting a lot. But instead, most people lost their lives or had to go and live in other countries. To be honest with you, if I'd known that my life was going to change completely forever, I would not have got involved. The ZANU-PF supporters started to attack us. I was attacked 2 or 3 times. The one that really got me scared was when I was attacked on my way to town. Somebody came from behind and stuck a knife in my back and said, "Don't say anything, just go where I tell you." He led me to somewhere like a basement. It was wet and dark. All I could see was shadows. All I was thinking was, oh God, they're going to kill me. But they just beat me up and left me there. The shopkeeper from upstairs, he found me and took me to my mom. When my mom saw me, she just cried. I moved to a village where my auntie is. But a couple of days later, after I was there, the same problem started. So then my auntie asked the neighbor's son, who was a truck driver, if he could smuggle me in his truck out to South Africa. I had to leave my daughter behind. I couldn't be running around with her. She was 8 years old. It was very dangerous. And the thought of running and carrying her on my back. So my mom told me, I'll look after her. And then when you are safe, you send for her. I'm a strong woman. I've been looking after you, and now I will look after your daughter. So I had no choice. I had to just go and leave my baby behind. It was really difficult. I really regret it. If I could just turn back time, I would go running with my daughter. I wasn't expecting to be leaving the country. I was expecting to be going maybe Cape Town. But when we got to South Africa, the truck driver said, "You are not safe here. If the ZANU-PF find out that I smuggled you out, they will hurt my family. The best thing for you is to go to England. You'll be safe there." So that was my only escape. I arrived on a tourist visa, and when I got there, I was in London and I was homeless. Then I met this guy, and I said to him, "I ran from problems in Zimbabwe, but I have nowhere to live. Can you help me, please?" He said, "Sure. You can come and stay at my house, but nothing in this world is free, you understand?" So I went to live in his house, and I was cooking for him and cleaning for him, and he made me sleep with him and all those things because I was desperate. He was always telling me, "If you leave, I will report you to the police and you will be sent back to Zimbabwe." I didn't know my rights in this country. I didn't know I was supposed to seek asylum. I managed to run away from this man, and a friend took me to Liverpool. She told me to contact the Refugee Legal Center, and that's when everything started making sense. I saw a solicitor, and she wrote down my story and said I should have claimed asylum when I got there. She put in a claim for me at the Home Office. That was 2002. I thought it was something that would take 6 months, maybe a year, but 8 years. In 2005, I met my husband, Alex. Was it love at first sight? Yes, it was love at first sight. We met through friends. He was such a noisy person. I said to my friends, who is this man who's talking too much? Then his friend came to me and said, see that man sitting there? He says he's going to marry you. I said, how can he marry me when he doesn't even know me? When I remind Alex of those things, he just laughs and says, oh God, I was really in love. He really is a nice guy because he accepted me for who I am. I am HIV positive. And when I told Alex about my HIV status, that's when he proposed to me. He said, I don't care what you've got. The only thing is I love you. Obviously, I said yes. We got married. They call it a customary marriage. It's African marriage, but it's not recognizable here in England. The year before last, I got pregnant with Sarah. And when I was 7 months, I got a phone call from the Home Office saying that they were moving me out of Liverpool to a house in Wigan. But Alex wasn't allowed to come because of the asylum rules. So I refused. But they said I had no choice. Either I go to the house in Wigan or I just become homeless. All I could think about was my connections are here in Liverpool. My husband, my friends, and Rachel, my antenatal teacher from the children's center who I had a bond with already. Rachel was fuming. Everybody was angry. Then this woman from the Home Office kept calling me all the time. She said, I'm coming at 10 a.m. tomorrow. Please be packed and ready to go. I said, I'm not coming. Who's going to look after me? In 2 months' time, I'm going to give birth and you want me to go to a place where I know nobody. But she said, sorry, I'm just doing my job. So I had no choice. Either I go to Wigan or I become homeless. I remember my midwife was very supportive. She wrote a letter to the Home Office, but still they said I had to go. So I went there, but I couldn't change my hospital to Wigan. Because of the asylum rules, I wasn't allowed to work. I was on Section 4 vouchers, and I would find somebody to change them for cash for me so that I could go and pay to go to Liverpool. Yeah. Even if I was in labor and I had to get on the train, I didn't care. Luckily, the lady who was my housing support worker was very sympathetic. She said, you can go to Liverpool, but don't tell anybody that I know. And if my boss comes to check, I'll call you and you can come back. When my labor started, it was just like period pains at first. I got them in Wigan. So I called my husband and he said, you better come down to Liverpool. So I took the train. Whilst I was in labor, it was really scary. I wasn't sure I would make it. But finally, when I did, I went straight to my midwife. She said my labor had really progressed and she was surprised I even made it on the train. My birth was not really nice. It was complicated. Afterwards, I was at the hospital for 1 week. My housing support worker told me that her boss had discovered that I was not at home and that I needed to get back as soon as possible. You know, I just had a baby and I just wanted to be there with my husband. But I had to go back alone to Wigan. And whilst I was on the train, I started to get fever and back pains. Rachel, my teacher from the children's center, she was worried about me, so she called. She told me that she couldn't believe that no one had come to see me, given that I just had a baby. And she thought that the health professionals in Wigan didn't even know that I was there. She told me that she would contact the GP as soon as possible, but later that night it got worse, so I had to ring 999 because the pain was too much and I couldn't take it anymore. Got to the hospital. They did some tests and found out that I had a bladder infection. Oh, it was so painful. I'd never experienced pain like that in my whole life. My husband was able to visit me, but the visiting times were difficult. I just had an 8-day-old baby, and they told me she's got to come for 2 hours. Then when visiting time is over, she's got to go. That made me really upset. Luckily, Rachel found a health visitor who showed Alex how to do the bottles and give Sarah the HIV medication. She had to take medication for 1 month. You know, when we ran out of the medication for Sarah, the GP didn't know what it was. I had to contact Skyline, a charity that helps people living with HIV, to ring the GP and explain it. The GP even wrote a letter to the Home Office saying, look, you better send this person back because the services that she requires are not available here. But they said, I've got to stay. Finally, 8 years later, in February 2009, I got a phone call from the solicitor telling me that my papers had come through. I just went, I took my baby and I went straight to the solicitor. I kept thinking, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening to me. I said, that's it. I'm leaving Wigan. But then we were faced with another nightmare from Liverpool Council. They said because I was given my papers in Wigan, I had to stay in Wigan. Sarah was 6 months by this stage, and I was diagnosed with postnatal depression. When you get your papers, you think, oh, life has changed for the better. I kept thinking for so many years, when I get my papers, I can get a house, find a job, and look after myself, live a normal life like anybody else. But then someone can come and blow you away. I managed to get a house back in Liverpool and things are getting better, slowly, bit by bit. The fact that I'm going to see my daughter, that makes me, I can't wait. I miss her so much. Just wait and see. That's what I kept thinking for so long. That's what kept me going, really. Just wait and see.